That's correct. Well, we have one item on consent, which is your commission bylaws.
Right.
That's item 5A.
Yeah.
And then item 7A is the tentative map that will be considered. The other item was referred back to staff.
Okay.
So 5A on consent, 7A under continued matters.
Okay.
Hey, Kathy, I'm going to open the front door and let the public in.
Okay.
And you're now live.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. It's the Wednesday, June 2nd meeting of the Planning Commission for the city of Fresno. So could we take the roll call, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Present, thank you.
Commissioner Kreiner, Commissioner Wagner,
Present.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Here.
Commissioner Vang,
Here.
Commissioner Diaz,
Here.
Chair Bray.
Present. Okay, and I'd like to welcome Commissioner Wagner to our group. We're glad to have you with us. Can we please begin the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll read the procedures now. While emergency order number 2020-12 is in effect, City of Fresno public meetings will be conducted electronically and telephonically only. As such, this meeting is being conducted electronically and telephonically. The public may participate in tonight's meeting by using the Zoom link or calling the phone number provided on the Planning Commission agenda. Please note that all participants will be on mute until they're called upon by the chair, at which point they will be unmuted. If you are a member of the public and would like to comment on an item, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, or if you're calling in, dial *9. To avoid confusion, please wait for the item you desire to comment on to be called by the chair before electronically raising your hand or dialing the *9. For each matter considered by the commission, there will first be a presentation by the staff, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from the supporters of the project will then be taken. Following testimony from those in opposition, the applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing the length of public debate, all public testimony for those in support and in opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the commission in making its land use determinations. If you challenge these land use determinations, you may be limited in raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony on or before the closing of the hearing. Okay, so we'll move today with the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no amendments to the agenda, Commissioner
Okay.
Bray.
Do any commissioners have changes? Okay. I know we have one item on the consent calendar, item 5A. Is there anyone from the public who wants to comment on that item 5A?
There
Okay.
are no hands up.
Okay, so can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, and can we have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve in a second. Can we take a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes. That passed unanimously. So we will move on to new matter 7A, the tentative map. Excuse me, go ahead.
Sorry, Chair Bray. So that was the approval of the agenda. Now
All right.
we need to do the consent calendar. Sorry.
I always get mixed up on that thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Just need a motion. You've already done public comment.
So can we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
All right, so can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner, Commissioner Kreiner, Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Okay, do we have any reports by commissioners? Okay, and I don't believe we have any continued matters, correct? Will?
The item that will be considered is a continued matter, Chair Bray.
Okay, so that is the 7A, the tentative map.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, do we have a staff presentation on that?
Hi, good evening, Chair Bray, Israel Trail Supervising Planner of the Planning Department. I just got an email from the applicant. They're having trouble getting in onto the Zoom meeting. Maybe we can just have a couple moments to see if they can get on. I'm curious, Gavin, are members of the public, are they able to get in on the Zoom link that went out? Do we have anybody from the public in this meeting?
There's 8 people. If you look at participants and go to attendees, those are all people from the public.
Okay.
Izzy, have them try posting or copying the link directly into their web page or their URL.
Okay, if I can just have 1 minute and I'll come right back. Thank you.
And well, since, as you know, I don't have the right agenda, when are we going to do the rules and regulation thing? When does that come up?
Chair Bray, that was the consent item.
Okay, that was, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Would the applicant be able to call in?
Yes, thank you, Chair Bray. So they are able to call in, so we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, all right. Can we start with your presentation, Israel?
Go ahead,
All right.
Chris.
Actually, I'll be presenting. Good evening, Commissioners, Chair Bray, Chris Lang from the Planning Development Department. All right. For your consideration tonight is tentative track map 6326, as well as the related environmental assessment. Submitted by the applicant, oops. There we go. Submitted by QK on behalf of DR Horton. The applicant proposes to subdivide approximately 12.34 acres of property located on the northwest corner of West Dakota and North Cornelia Avenues. As you can see, the property is within the city, and just to the south is a county peninsula. The planned land use for the subject property is medium-low density, and as you can see, it's surrounded by other, medium-low density residential. As you can see, it's also surrounded by other residential uses, primarily medium and medium-low, as well as several central unified schools. Again, here's an aerial image of the subject property. Again, you can see single-family residential development to the north and southwest, as well as rural residential to the south in the county. and then the Central Unified Schools to the east and west of the subject property. The applicant proposes to subdivide the 12.34 acres of property into a 63-lot single-family residential subdivision. The overall density of this would be approximately 5.1 dwelling units per acre. The planned land use of medium-low density residential is between 3.5 and 6 dwelling units per acre, so the proposal complies with the planned land use. All streets are to be public, and they'll be able to accommodate sidewalks and parking on both sides of the street. The subject property, a map was approved back in 2001 for this property, and the property was zoned for medium density residential with conditions of zoning. Subsequently, the previous map, which was a very similar layout to this one, it was reverted back to acreage, and the conditions of zoning remained. So the property is now zoned RS4 UGM with the conditions of zoning in place. These conditions prohibited vehicular access from what is North Lodi Avenue to what would be West Flint Way, or a continuation of North Lodi Avenue. As you can see, the applicant is proposing an outlot where that road could have connected. And this is to comply with the conditions of zoning, which again prohibit vehicular access. But by doing an outlot there, they're going to be able to provide open space as well as pedestrian access, as bicycles as well. Again, complying with the conditions of zoning. Staff recommends that you adopt the mitigated negative declaration prepared for this project, and also approve the tentative tract map 6326, proposing the 12.34 acres of property to subdivide into a 63-lot residential development, subject to compliance with the conditions of approval, and as well as the related environmental assessment. That concludes staff's presentation. However, I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Does anyone have questions for Chris?
Chris, I have a question for you.
All right.
So I'm looking at the staff report, and I noticed that Council District Plan Implementation Committee suggested potentially a paseo between lots 31 and 32. Is that going to be included in the staff's recommendation or no?
Staff's recommendation would be, well, that's recommendation to the Planning Commission, and staff's recommendation would be, the paseo is not required by the municipal code. There needs to be access to major streets every 600 feet, I believe, and the map complies with that requirement. I'm not sure if the applicant has taken that into consideration, but the staff conditions do not include that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, so can we have the applicant do their presentation now?
I have two people with their hand up. Who's the applicant? Now just one, David or Ernie?
That would be Ernie.
Thank you. Ernie, you've been allowed to unmute yourself.
Yay, I'm unmuted. Thank you very much. Hello, Planning Commission and City staff. How are you? Excellent. Good. Thumbs up. Good to be in front of you. We're anxious to get this one moving. We've done a lot of work with the city staff. We really appreciate their insights and their help, working with everyone just to make sure that everyone's going to be satisfied with the final tentative map submittal. As Chris said, thank you, Chris, for speaking about the project, but it is 12 acres. It's 63 lots. It does match the current zoning and plan use. I think one of the things that Chris pointed out that we really appreciate about this map is the connectivity to the northeast. I think originally we had it all, it was just a cul-de-sac, but we realized that for safe travel for children and making that connectivity to other parcels or communities to the east, we just think that that's a really good way to kind of work and make sure that people have access to that area to the north in terms of the community. So we like the final outcome. We went back and forth. I think this final outcome just is a testament to us being able to work with the city staff and make sure that we have the best possible community. So I'm available for questions.
Okay, do any commissioners have questions for the applicant at this time?
Question. Artie, so just kind of going back to my question that I asked Chris, the implementation committee suggested if it's possible to sail between lots 31 and 32. Is that something that you guys would be considering?
Wow, that is a great question. I'm going to take a step back a little bit, if you don't mind, Commissioner, and just talk about how we ended up working with the recommendations. A couple of things that they pointed out, I think they were very insightful. One of the things that they pointed out was that connectivity to the northeast, and I think that made a lot of sense. They also recommended that we get rid of Stubb Street, and I want to say right now it's was there between around lot 8 or 9. It was basically on the north side in the middle. And their recommendation was to remove that Stubb Street. And I think working through those things just in terms of negotiations made a lot of sense for us. So they had some really good insights. In terms of that additional kind of suggestion, just doesn't make sense for the size of the community. It would really make it difficult. I think the two openings on the west side and the south side on Dakota and Cornelia, as nice as that sounds, just practically, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for the number of lots that we have. But I think it's valuable consideration. I just don't think practically it makes a lot of sense.
Well, thank you, Ernie.
Anyone else? Okay, so we'll go out to the public now. If you are in favor of the project, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. You'll have 3 minutes to talk.
There are no hands up.
Okay, if there's any members of the public who are in opposition, please raise your hand. We'll call on you. You'll each have 3 minutes.
We have one, David. David, you should be able to unmute yourself at this time.
Okay, thank you. Not necessarily in opposition. I just live across the street at 4715 West Dakota on the county side of Dakota, and just would like someone to explain the intentions of the intersection for future Lodi Avenue at Dakota and the landscape on the north side of West Dakota.
Is someone from the staff able to do that, or the applicant?
No, I can speak to the landscape along the north side of Dakota. An outlot will be required for a 15-foot basically landscape setback. As per the requirements for the West Area Community Plan. So they're going to be required to provide a 15-foot landscape strip with a block wall behind it. And then I'm not sure if Andy, you could talk about the intersection with Lodi at Dakota.
I could maybe address that. Dakota is planned to have ultimately 3 lanes, 1 lane in each direction and a center turn lane. No median island is proposed. And so once they build out and stripe it, there'll be a turn lane there, but no median island. I hope that answered your question. I'm not sure if it did.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, all right. So I guess, is there anyone else in opposition?
No hands up.
Okay, so then we'll take this back to the commissioners and close the hearing. Do any commissioners have any comments or a motion?
Thank you, Chair. I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendations.
We have a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Can we do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, so that passes unanimously. Does the secretary have anything to report?
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. Just 3 things that I thought you would want to be aware of. 2 that will eventually be coming to the Planning Commission. The Central Southeast Specific Plan and the West Area Neighborhood Specific Plan have both been released for public comment. Staff has been conducting a series of community conversations around these 2 plans focused on specific topic areas like transportation, parks, etc. And it's been really, really well received. They had take-home kits for people so that they could actually participate online with the conversation. And it has been a really exciting and an innovative way to do public participation during this time of Zoom, which has been a challenge for everyone. So the anticipation is that the public comment on the specific plans will be taken over the summer. We will be releasing the environmental review documents in late summer. And then in the fall, these documents should be coming back to the Planning Commission and ultimately the City Council for review and adoption. The other item that I wanted to bring to your attention was that the Anti-Displacement Task Force continues to have meetings. Their next public meeting will be on June 14th. If any of you are interested in listening in, or if any member of the public might be interested in participating, there are links on the city's website to register for those events.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, next is unscheduled communications. If you're a member of the public and would like to comment, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, or if you're calling in, dial *9.
There are no hands up, Commissioner Bray.
Well, then the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice evening.